A little bit of a different topic than you might be used to coming from me, but it's one that I followed when it first came out, and now I'm following it again, and it's interesting to me, and something I want to talk about. The Slenderman stabber ran away. Now, if you don't know what's going on, I'm gonna lampshade right here. I know this is a different topic than I normally talk about. One, I want to talk about things that aren't just video game stuff too. I'm working on the Crafton lawsuit video. I'm working on the Crafton Subnautica lawsuit video and stuff. I haven't gotten it out anywhere in the timeline that I want to. My mental health has been in a kind of spiral and chaotic. What with a lot of stuff that's happened in the last month for me. My grandfather passed away, and then the next day my therapist passed away, and my dad had to get cancer surgery, and blah blah blah. It's a lot of excuses. I'm sorry. Ultimately, I'm dropping the ball. It will be out by the end of this week. I promise you, the Crafton lawsuit video will be out by the end of this week. And when there is an update on the Power World lawsuit, that will be out too pretty quickly. But this is one that I find very interesting, and it's something I want to talk about. If you're not aware, the Slenderman stabber or the Slenderman stabbing case, there's like a documentary put out on it. There's a lot of stuff that was put out on it. Was essentially in 2014, two young girls lured a third young woman into the woods, essentially, with the intent to try to kill her. They were under the belief, or at least notionally under the belief, claiming they were under the belief that they were trying to become proxies to Slenderman, the big creepypasta figure. If you're online right now and you don't know who Slenderman is, I don't know what to do for you. But the big, the big, massive creepypasta, creepy, tall dude, white face, tentacles, they were trying to become proxies to him, or at least that was what one of the people, Morgan, told the other one. Oh God, what was her name? Anissa told the other girl, young girl, Anissa, was the goal of this. So essentially, they wanted to lure their friend Peyton into the woods, murder Peyton, and then run off into the woods to become proxies to Slenderman, which I don't believe is anywhere in the actual Slenderman lore, but become proxies to Slenderman because of some delusional belief that they had that this was a thing that they could do. Now, they were children, and their mental capacity at the time was brought into question. There was a lot of psychological profiles going on, and a lot of stuff being said about, okay, is this something that is the creepypasta community responsible for this anyway? Is the fact that, you know, the creepypasta wiki at the time didn't really have a disclaimer that all of this is fake. They put that disclaimer on there. If I remember correctly, they put that disclaimer on the website about, hey, these are all just stories. None of this is real. This is just, you know, fan fiction, effectively, onto the website in response to this case. And they started getting a little bit more selective about who was allowed to access it and who was allowed to put stuff on there in response to this case back in 2014. So a lot of the conversation surrounding it was based around like, okay, did these kids know that what they were doing is wrong and are now using this as an excuse? Are they reasonably delusional? Like, is like, and by reasonably delusional, I'm trying to say, like, is the fact that they were children reading creepypasta the cause of this? Is this something that a child their age would believe because they saw it online? Or is there some other mental deficit that is occurring here that is causing them to believe this? And it ended up being a very interesting case. If I remember correctly, a child psychologist eventually came out and said, no, two young girls at around the age of 12, I think one of them was a little bit older, if I remember correctly, but I might be wrong on that. Let me see real quick. They were all 12. Okay, they were all 12 years old. I have information on this pulled up so I can cite it. But basically, a child psychologist came out and said, no, 3 young girls at the age of 12 should be able to differentiate between reality and fiction. This is not something that a 12-year-old girl should read something online that is clearly a creepypasta and say, oh my God, this is real, I'm going to respond to this. But that was to bring like their mental faculties into check. What ended up happening as a result of this, after all this happened, what ended up happening is one of the young girls, Anissa, was convicted for, how long was she in prison for? Anissa Wire was the secondary person. There were two, just to clarify again, there were 3 people involved. There was Anissa Wire, Morgan Geyser, and Peyton Littner. Anissa Wire and Morgan Geyser were the ones that were trying to stab, trying to kill, and Peyton Leutner was the victim. Anissa Wire was sentenced to 25 years for intentional attempted homicide, but was released, I believe, in 2021 to live with her father. Morgan Geyser was sentenced to 40 years to life in a like a mental health facility, an asylum, essentially, with the, as the one that organized this and as the one that actually ended up doing the stabbing. Essentially, what happened was Morgan convinced Anissa to do this, to be a part of this. They lured Peyton out. Anissa was supposed to be the one that was doing the stabbing and killing Peyton. Morgan, but then, like, at the last minute, was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. Morgan ended up taking the knife and stabbing Peyton. So, and as the one that kind of organized it, Morgan was given a harsher sentence, a much harsher sentence. But Morgan was eventually released, I believe, in 2023 to live in a group home in Wisconsin. Anissa was released in 2021 to live with her dad. Morgan was released in 2023 to live in a group home in Wisconsin. Well, yesterday, she escaped. She cut off her monitoring bracelet and ran away. Now, here's the dangerous part I see about this. Here's one of the things and if you watch the documentary, you might understand a little bit more of why I think that's particularly bad. Is if you watch the documentary really well and pay attention to it, and it could be, a lot of people have said, oh, it was the framing of the documentary, it was how the documentary was framed because they wanted one person to be less complicit or whatever. It really gives the impression that Anissa was someone that was manipulated by Morgan into believing that this was a thing to do, and that Anissa was doing it because her friend said to do it and she thought it was going to be okay. That is not an excuse to do it, but Anissa was really just kind of the sidekick in all of this. Whereas when you watch the parts of the documentary that show the interviews with Morgan, Morgan really seemed to be going down a cult leader-like path, like using very manipulative tactics to try to convince Anissa that this was okay, making Anissa the one that was like, okay, you have to do the stabbing, you have to do it. This is on your responsibility. Really, kind of trying to control her and manipulate her to do it. So the documentary really framed Morgan as like, when I watched the documentary, Morgan's interviews parts were incredibly disturbing, and my first thought is, if this person ever gets released, they are going to be a danger to society. They are, even as a 12-year-old kid, they are engaging in this cult-like behavior, this cult leader-like behavior, and that's not something that's going to stop if they're ever released. But like I said, in 2023, she's released to live in a group home and ended up a day ago cutting off her monitor bracelet, escaping, and being found. What was it? It was, I think, like 165 miles away from her group home, which was in Madison, Wisconsin, and was instead found in Posen, Illinois. That, to me, says that she has not been rehabilitated. That, to me, says that she should not be released. That, to me, says that she's going to continue to be a danger to society. And I don't think putting her in a group home is a good solution. I don't think having her in necessarily an asylum is a good solution. They chose that route because, they try to say, she wasn't mentally capable and blah, 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 and this was a mental illness and et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think that is a good solution. I don't know if it was technically an asylum, but I'm using colloquially asylum. It was a psychiatric facility. It was a psychiatric holding facility that she was put in. But the reason I think that this is dangerous and she just needs to be put into an actual prison, like for dangerous criminals that are never going to escape, never going to be released, is because putting someone into a area, putting someone that demonstrates these sort of manipulative behaviors and these sort of criminally manipulative behaviors, cult leader-like behaviors, into a place with a lot of mentally ill people that are going to be susceptible to what this person says. And I'm saying they, I'm using this they, them, because Morgan Geyser was born a female, but has at one point, while she was still in holding, began the process of transitioning to a transgender male. A lot of the media and the court filings still refer to Morgan as her. I don't know if Morgan has if Morgan is a dead name because I haven't been able to find anything about a chosen name. But I'm going to, at the very least, respect the LGBTQ community so much as to refer to Morgan as he or they. Not to say that Morgan is a good person, but I'm not gonna. I'm pro LGBTQ, and if you have a problem with that, you fuck off. But putting someone like Morgan into into a place where they are notionally trying to make people better. They're trying to take these people that were found criminally insane or temporary insanity and need psychiatric care, but the goal might be to one day release them into the public, and to put someone that has shown the capacity and the capability to manipulate people that are in some sort of psychological distress into committing horrific crimes and thinking that's going to have a positive outcome is truly the insane thing to me. That is truly the craziest part about this is they put the and not to say it's exactly the same, but they put the Joker in Arkham and expected nothing bad to happen. They put the Joker in Arkham and expected nothing bad to happen, and that doesn't go well. And then she ended up escaping. So I sincerely hope for the safety of the public and for the safety of Peyton, because I can fully imagine what's going through Morgan's head right now being, I got to get her. I served all this time. I did all this stuff because of her. I got to finish this kind of thing. But for the safety of the public and for the safety of Peyton and Peyton's family, I sincerely hope that they end up moving her to like an actual containment facility for the rest of her life. That no chance of escape. They don't put her around other mentally ill people that she could potentially manipulate either into helping her escape or into becoming her followers, and potentially, getting released from the psychiatric facility or being sent to a group home like they were, and then committing horrible crimes. Uh, it's very much like, would you put Charlie Manson in a cell with, or in a containment facility with a lot of people that are going to be susceptible to Charlie Manson, but be released one day? No, you wouldn't. That's insane. But this is just something I want to talk about. I thought it was interesting. I do want to start talking about things that aren't just gaming news related. I enjoy talking about things that aren't gaming news related too. This is something that I was following from the moment it came out. Like I was big into creepypasta when this story dropped, and so I was following this story, and was also concerned about like how this was going to affect the creepypasta community. And it's something I want to talk about. I am going to continue working on the craft and lawsuit stuff. I'm going to continue working on all the gaming news stuff. But I hope you enjoyed this. And if you enjoy me talking about things like this too, or just random news happenings and internet happenings and stuff like that, please let me know. I'd love to start talking about some more stuff that like this that I find interesting, or I find interesting to talk about, into research and stuff like that. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if there's another topic you want me to talk about. If you've made it this far, please hype the video. I don't imagine this video is going to do well because it's so much different than what I normally talk about, and that's just the way the algorithm works. But if you reach this far, please hype the video, comment, share, like. Every bit of engagement helps the video do better. Big thank you to BoxWizard52. He's my only tier 3 member right now. If you are interested in signing up for memberships, please do. There's something I'm forgetting to talk about. I can't remember it, but if you are, yep, there you go. Anyways, goodbye. I'm so sorry. My brain is chaotic right now. I'm very sorry. But with that,